Matt Deatley, welcome to the conversation today.
Hey, John, thanks. Thanks for having me.
It is a real pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Pittsburgh. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about the recent Long Duty report, which unveils hidden tensions between U.S. employers and employees and identifies solutions to overcome them. It'll be really interesting to dig into that report. And you're going to talk to us a little bit more about Long Duty along the way and
Yeah.
even talk about the name a little bit. I just found that to be an interesting name as we were talking in the pre-interview. Yeah, you'll explain a little bit more about that too as we get going. But as we get started, I wanted to share your bio with everybody. Throughout a career spanning management consulting, agency strategy, and digital strategy at a major tech firm, Matthew Deatley has developed a multifaceted approach to helping brands achieve profitable growth through innovative products, services, and experiences. His diverse background has equipped him with expertise across digital transformation, product innovation, customer experience, and growth strategy. His methodology centers on human centricity and mutual value creation, consistently asking who is the target audience? How can we create value for them? How do we ensure profitability and sustainability? This philosophy has proven effective across varied industries, geographies, and contexts. Beyond professional pursuits, Deatley thrives on collaborative problem solving with passionate teams. Personal time is spent playing games and exploring parks with his young daughter, hitting the golf course and ski slopes, and following basketball. And I could say a lot more about Matt's background and accomplishments, but I'm going to pause there. Matt, anything you would like to highlight before we dive on in?
Boy, that's a very comprehensive bio. I think the team did a really nice job putting that together. I guess the color I'd add is that these days at Wong Duty, I head up our employee experience capability area. And
Sweet.
when I talk about employee experience, I'm not an HR leader at our company. I don't oversee our employee experience, but rather I lead the practice that helps consult for our clients on theirs. And And that's really, I guess it's applying all the things you just said, but inwardly to our clients' workforce. We work with a lot of clients that are going through big business digital transformations, and there's often little consideration given to the employee's perspective in changes like that. And so we really help those orgs ask and answer questions around, what tools or capabilities or experiences can we give employees to help them through what
Yeah.
can be a pretty tumultuous change.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's fantastic. As we dive into this report, maybe start by just explaining a little bit about Long Duty and the
Yeah.
name and the company. You've already explained a little bit, but go into that a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, Wong Duty, fun name, and always a good icebreaker in conversations like this. So we were founded 30 odd years ago as an ad agency, and like any good ad agency of that era, our name is just a mashup of our founders' last names. So having a guy whose last name is Wong and a guy whose last name is Duty yielded us a pretty interesting and memorable name for our agency. And I guess since then, I mean, we have a long history of, creative campaign work and branding and product design. And, like it came up in my bio, it's all sort of united by this idea. Like, let's understand people. What do they think? What do they want? And how can we help give that to them? Um, and then, 7, 8 years ago, Wong Duty was acquired by Infosys. And that's given us sort of a huge technical capability, and it exposed us to a lot of sort of back end or workforce transformation programs. And so I saw that as a great opportunity. How can we bring our, customer experience practice and apply those same skills and techniques to employee experience? And, what started with like a human-centered product design for employees has
Mhm.
sort of evolved into a whole practice area. And I guess ultimately that's what led us to this research. Um,
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for the background. Let's dive on into this current project and describe for us a little bit what went into this research report.
yeah, so I mean, in any given year, just through like the course of our work, we talk to, I mean, hundreds of employees or leaders,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
help improve their business. And I'd say over the last couple of years, we just started to feel a shift in the behavior, the mindset of workers. And I mean, at a high level, it just felt like there was more tension than we were used to seeing.
Yeah.
And we wanted to understand that better, right? I think the phrase I hear a lot from people leaders is like, we need to know the current moment, what's happening in this current moment, so we can address it. And that's what led to the research study. And look, I know there's a lot of good research out there about employee experience and the workforce. And I don't know, I wake up every morning to two or three emails that tell me about the newest AI research study and how only this brand can help me, avoid that change. Um, but I guess what we wanted to do was just a little deeper investigation of like the human mindset around work, unfiltered, sort of unbiased, just how do people think and feel at work? No anchoring to AI or hybrid work or post whatever narrative. We just sort of wanted to let people tell us what was on their minds around work. And and so that was it. I mean, we hired a fieldwork partner called Nonfiction Research. They're excellent, and their whole approach is just that. It's really digging into sort of the culture, the mindsets of people, meeting them where they are to really talk to them about what
Mm-hmm.
they're thinking and feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so that's what led us there, and I think the results are really compelling. Do you just want me to launch into that, or?
Well, so the my understanding, the name of the report is Cold Work: Hidden
Mhm.
Tensions of the Modern Workplace. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a interesting name. Why cold work? Um, that's an interesting framing.
Yeah, and if you give me a little runway to explain it, I can build up to it. I think it's helpful. But,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, in the research, I'd say there were two high-level learnings that really stood out to me. And the first was that workers told us that like this moment in the history of work just feels unique to them.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I think that's kind of profound. I mean, I started my career right before the great financial crisis, and then everything
Mhm.
from then to now. I mean, we worked through COVID and everything. So like it's not like there haven't been big moments recently in
Right.
work.
Yeah.
Um, but most people, I think it's like 87% of workers we talked to in the study told us that now feels particularly unique. And it's some mixture of economic instability or AI uncertainty or political tension,
Yeah.
and one that was sort of like the aggregation of all of those stressors are just causing fatigue among people in and out of work, and they're sort of carrying that with them to the workplace. And that's the second big learning is that it's manifesting as these hidden tensions in the workplace. It's not a loud conflict, but like a quiet disengagement. And some of the stats, I think it was 62% of employees and 49% of employers claim that they're doing these hidden behaviors that sort of secretly punish the other side.
Hmm.
Workers who
Hmm.
are scrolling on their phones during the day too often, who are ghosting on messages or maybe withholding effort, or I'm sorry, employers who are maybe surveilling their employees, assigning, petty assignments as punishment and micromanaging. These little things that don't like show up as a loud conflict like you'd expect, but represent real tension between employees and employers. And and so it just, I guess to me, it felt like you've got these two sides who are like freezing each other out. It's this standoff that's unfolding in the workplace. Both sides are becoming disengaged, sort of trying to survive. And it just, I don't know, not to be overly dark, but it gave like Cold War vibes. And so cold work felt
Uh-huh.
like a natural sort of catchy way we can describe it. And honestly, for me, identifying it, naming the problem is like the first step to figuring out how to approach it. So we wanted something that, folks would remember and could sort of think about more clearly as they look to improve their workplace.
Yeah, interesting. So the Cold War kind of connection, the conflict between each sides, that's a really interesting kind of framing. And you're right, like the tensions, and it depends on like the ebbs and flows of the labor market. Like it wasn't that long ago that it was totally an employee market, right?
Oh yeah.
Like employees had all of the power. and employers were struggling to find good people, and the pendulum has swung, right? And now it's an employer market, and employees are kind of freaking out. They're not sure what to do. And so we use all these different words about like quiet quitting, and we have all these terms, right? Around like all these different behaviors and these hidden behaviors. And yeah, it's just such an interesting set of phenomenon as we consider how employers are responding to their employees and vice versa. So this Cold War kind of connection framing is super, super interesting. And you're right, like there really are a lot of subtleties, these subtle hidden behaviors that are happening, and I'm not always sure how even aware the individuals are that are doing them, right? Like how aware are the employees that they're engaging in these subtle behaviors? How aware are the managers that they're engaging in these subtle behaviors that are having these impacts, often negative impacts on the other
Mhm.
side, that lead to dysfunction, even toxicity, disengagement, dissatisfaction, all these different things that are making it a really challenging time for everybody.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I love that you keyed on right away too that I absolutely saw the switch flip from a worker-centered workplace to, I guess, a more
Mhm.
business-centered workplace. And oh, I don't know, I'm not like a macro guy. Maybe it was, my guess is once interest rates flipped, every executive in the world went from growth mode to efficiency mode. And we actually we mapped out what we saw as the top tensions that came out of that. And this is all sort of symptomatic of, the first one to me, which is this desire, call it flexibility versus accountability. And you have workers and workplace cultures that, just recently were in that growth mode, employee-centered mode, employees having more autonomy over how they work, a
Yeah.
little higher agency. And now you've got employers like reining that in a lot more,
Yep. Yep.
um, trying to regain some of that control to drive more efficient output and hold their employees more accountable, sort of seeing maybe a lower level of efficiency and attributing it to employee behavior, rightly or wrongly.
Yeah. And so that has manifest also into things like, the return to office mandates, right? That during COVID, it just became, I mean, it was required. Like there was nothing you could do. Like everyone had to go remote. Everyone then started to become accustomed to remote. And, but slowly, surely, more and more CEOs, more and more employers started to rein that in, started to pull people back, started to get to the point where you actually had to have mandates to make people come back. Otherwise, they're going to be let go. And many saw that as a reining in of the autonomy, the flexibility, wanting to have more control over the employees, whether or not that was actually the intention of managers, of senior leaders and executives or not. There can be a huge debate around that. Like a big conversation could be had, but certainly, that has been part of the whole equation here. Around this Cold War kind of dynamic.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And and I think that's a big driver of a couple of the other tensions we see too, like just cherry picking off the list. One was about how turnover has felt so normal recently, in that this sense of long-term loyalty between employee and employer is just dissolved, and it's in both directions. And
Yeah.
I think you see these return to office mandates accelerate that feeling that, employment's a little more at will than we thought. And and you see, employers who feel like they've invested a lot in people are just seeing those people leave, and employees who feel like they've put a lot of their, you know, hearts and minds into their company are being let go over something that maybe they view as trivial, like where they work. So anyway, you can see how these sort of ladder up to each other, to reinforce that sort of cold work
Yeah,
disconnect.
and it is heartbreaking. Like I've seen, we probably all have seen, right? But I've seen some folks, just in my own personal life where they've worked with companies for well over a decade. In one case, I'm thinking of an individual who worked with the company, helped build it. I mean, this company has grown dramatically, worked with this company for 2 decades, in pivotal roles to help this company grow. And then they decided to do a return to office. This person wasn't in a family position to be able to do that, in their personal position, personal life. And, they just felt completely, abandoned by this company. Like they're just like, what in the world? Like I helped build this company. Now you're letting me loose. You're cutting me loose for what reason? Like I've demonstrated repeatedly for years and years how essential I am and how much I've been able to contribute. And they were just devastated by this. And so certainly you have individuals like that. Now you
Hmm.
also have individuals who probably haven't contributed much of anything, to the organizations who have also been let go. And yeah, it's just so hard. The whole psychological contract of work between employer and employee and
Yeah.
that loyalty piece has so dramatically shifted to the point now where, yeah, it's hard because I like personally, just myself, I like to think of myself as someone who has commitment and loyalty to an organization, to a job. If I'm going to go work somewhere, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to be committed to them, and I'm going to do my very best work. And I want to at least act as though I'm going to be there for a long time. But I also know in the current environment that we're in, I know that like I literally could be cut loose at any moment, right? And it has absolutely nothing to do with my performance either. Like it's just it could be totally large macro things that have nothing to do with me, have nothing to do with my performance, and it's just the way it is, right? And so then you have people constantly looking for other jobs as backups.
Hmm.
And it's just yeah, I'm not sure the way around this. Like this is the new normal, right?
Boy, I feel like we have a new normal every year or two at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. And I feel for your friend, and I think I share your perspective on this too. I've been a remote employee for going on a decade now, and I certainly have my, head over my shoulder sometime thinking, well, if there's a return to office, I don't have an office here. But I, try and put the work in the way you described and find ways to add value as I can. But and I guess that leads me to another point too, and I don't know if this is part of the new normal or not, but folks shared with us that the sense of like lack of recognition or maybe like lack of meaning in work that they used to find that they're just not getting anymore.
Mm,
And I don't know if it's the system or the people, but it's this idea that we're rewarding like efficiency and output over humanity at this point. And so you've got workers in these situations like you just described who have put their heart and soul into growing and building this thing, but the macro condition says that it's not right for them, or the work wasn't as efficient, or there's no dollars this year for a reward, or to send you to the conference that you wanted to go to. So people just sort of are feeling underappreciated, and the other word we heard a lot was invisible. I'm just
mm.
what's the old, faceless cog in a corporate machine or something. People are feeling a little more replaceable than ever. Something else that came out of this.
Yeah, interesting. That replaceable piece, and I wonder how much of that has to do with this psychological contract breakdown, the loyalty piece that you said. And I wonder how much of it has to do with like fears around automation displacement, with like AI, robotics, just disruptive technological displacement, because that seems to be so pervasive,
Hmm.
just in the zeitgeist right now. Like it just seems like so many people are afraid of layoffs because it's like almost a day doesn't go by that you turn on the news and some big company is laying off thousands of employees.
Oh yeah, it's heartbreaking. And on the flip side, it's interesting too. We captured the data point. It was 93% of workers aren't very satisfied with how their company has rolled out AI capabilities. Like 93%? I don't know. That sort of blew my mind a little bit. And
I mean, that's virtually everybody, right?
yeah, it's virtually everybody. The seven must be the companies that are actually building the AI tools that the 93% aren't interested in using. But
or
it's,
or the executives who were like who who wanted the rollout, right? So they said it went great, and then everyone else said it went
Hmm.
bad.
Hmm. Well, you hear the stories like people told us, oh, my boss just said, go figure out how to use AI. I saw this thing on TV during the Masters. Can you do this? And it's like
Hmm.
that's all you're giving me. You saw a thing on an ad on TV, and you're telling me to go build it for our company. Uh, sure, can I have the resources, the training, the like infrastructure to do it? And there just doesn't seem to be a lot of that uh, top-down support, I guess, that we heard employees are looking for as they're looking to train up and build some of these new capabilities. And that was, I think, the big driver behind some of that 93% is just like lack of support structure to make it happen. Um,
Yeah.
and I guess personally, I don't think it helps that the first few things that we tried to take away from people are sort of creative endeavors. I
Mm.
appreciate that, these tools are making me a little more efficient, but no replacement for good art and good writing and good communication between people. And we heard a lot of that too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, maybe the last quick question, and I know at the time I'm going to have to let you go here in a minute, but the research highlights a clear roadmap for businesses to bridge the gap, between this divide, this tension. Maybe walk through that with us a little bit, how to build a more productive, human-centered workplace.
Yeah. And well, I'd say maybe there isn't any one roadmap, like no like cold work silver bullet, so to speak. But
For sure.
it's company by company, sort of being able to step back and say hey, this is happening. Let's like acknowledge the problem and let's be real deliberate about how we approach it. Um, just like any capability at a company, thawing cold work, creating a great employee experience doesn't just happen. You have to invest in it, you have to build it, you have to nurture it. Um, and I'm even saying like invest probably gives executives pause, but I don't think it's a big dollar investment. It's just being intentional about what you do. And one of the ways we found is most effective is building this capability we'll call organizational resilience, right? Being
Mhm.
able to anticipate disruption, respond with care, and like repair those tensions really quickly. And even to expand on the definition a little bit, I think we think about change at work as like a new, I don't know, a new tool that we have to use, a new platform that we've put in, a new setting in the video conference chat that we're trying to use and figure out as we get started here. But like, I think there's so many things that are affecting people in and out of work that they carry with them into work. All the things from the beginning of the call, the cultural pressures, the macroeconomic pressures, I think that affects how people show up to work. And so, if we broaden our definition a little bit about what it means to be resilient to tensions at work, I think it lets us address some of these broader concerns that people might have. And just to steal one more data point from our study, 55% of workers say that they have tensions at work that just go unrepaired or ignored.
Mm.
And 64% say that they just see like performative fixes instead of real action. The proverbial put a poster on the wall or throw a pizza party rather than actually addressing core underlying, challenges that they face in the workplace. And so, we say that, you need to build resilience into the culture of your workplace. And that's, looking at your we have 6 points, right? One is leadership. How do your leaders sort of set the vision and model that resilience? Do they have processes in place to anticipate tensions and change that are coming and get ahead of them? Managers, like people leaders, how are they supporting and guiding and enabling teams through disruptive moments? How do your employee communications explain change and build trust? Do you have training, not just a link to a how-to document, but like practical learning experiences that help people grow? Do you have, technology and information that helps support people, or is your tech a blocker? And lastly, the sixth is, and maybe for me most important is the voice of the employee. Are you capturing feedback? Are you acting upon that feedback? Are you making it clear that you've captured and acted upon the feedback, and so on and so forth? So Maybe I'll pause there. Yeah, I think the roadmap I'd suggest, just to recap, is, be deliberate about approaching cold work and consider, building these corporate muscles of resilience to help, your workforce navigate through that.
I love that. Resilience, building resilience capabilities, just being intentional. I mean, that maybe that sounds obvious. It's not easy. It's hard to do. And but it goes a long, long way. Well, Matt, this has just been a really great conversation. Again, I know at the time I need to let you go, but before we wrap up, I just want to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, your team, where they can find the report, and then give us a final word for today.
Yeah, no, thanks, John. I appreciate it. And this was fun, and I feel like we barely scratched the surface of the insights from the research and some of the tactics we've learned. So I'd welcome all of, like, the audience, come check us out at wongduty.com, or wongduty.com/cold work. And you'll find, a couple articles that I've written about this. You'll find the full research report. A lot of good insights there. And I always welcome conversation on LinkedIn. So would love it if folks would reach out to me there, and yeah, can continue that conversation. And boy, by way of final words, I don't know. Thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fun. I think, as I said at the onset, um, I see a lot of organizations implement a number of changes, and not necessarily always think about how it's affecting the end user, the end employee. And I just encourage everyone to maybe take a step back and consider that. Talk to your people, listen to what they're thinking and feeling, and make sure we're accounting for that as we imagine their own sort of future at work.
Yeah, yeah, love it. Matt, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Matt and his team can do for you. Check out the full report. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.